So, if you're a creative, you've probably thought of information security as, a total chore. It's this technical thing that just gets in the way of you doing your actual work. But what if we flip that on its head? What if security wasn't a barrier at all, but was actually a strategic tool, something that could protect your genius and even help you land those bigger, better clients? Well, in this explainer, we're going to lay out a roadmap for exactly that. We are going to break down how you can transform security from this thing you have to do into your biggest competitive advantage. Let's dive in. This quote right here, it just nails it. Your intellectual property, we're talking your scripts, your designs, your photos, your client's entire campaign strategy, that stuff isn't just data. It is the absolute lifeblood of your business. So protecting it, that isn't just a good idea, it's a strategic necessity. Okay, so let's get into the unique risks you're facing because, let's be honest, the security challenges inside a creative agency are a whole different ballgame compared to your typical corporate office. I mean, this slide pretty much captures the beautiful chaos of creative work, doesn't it? You're constantly spinning up new projects with new teams of freelancers, you're juggling literal terabytes of high-res video and massive design files, and you're using a dozen different cloud tools just to get through the week. The thing is, every single one of those strengths is also a potential security weak spot. And this is where it gets really real. Forget these abstract corporate threats like server downtime. For you, the actual nightmare scenario is a ransomware attack that locks up your entire portfolio a week before a huge deadline. It's not about losing some corporate password. It's about an attacker hijacking your client's social media account and completely wrecking their brand in like 5 minutes. These are the kinds of risks we really need to get ahead of. So how in the world do we build a defense against all that? Well, it might sound complicated, but there's actually a world-class blueprint for it. It's called ISO 20701. Now, don't let the name scare you off. Seriously, just think of it as a practical framework, a guide for protecting your genius and building that rock-solid trust with your clients. Now, at the heart of this whole ISO 27001 thing is something called an ISMS, an Information Security Management System. Look, it's just a fancy way of saying you have a system in place. It's about getting your people, your processes, and your tech all working together with one single goal: keeping your most valuable stuff safe. And that whole system, it's really built on 3 super simple ideas. First, you've got confidentiality. That's just about keeping your new film script from leaking online. Simple. Second, integrity. This is making sure some rogue freelancer can't secretly tweak the final logo design the night before you present it. And third, availability. That's making sure a ransomware attack doesn't lock you out of all your files right when a client is waiting for them. See? Not so scary. Okay, so how do we actually put this into practice? Well, it all starts with a pretty simple process called risk management. And no, this is not some super complex technical audit. It's really just a straightforward way of thinking proactively about what could go wrong. The process boils down to just 3 easy steps. First, you identify your most valuable assets, say your client list or your unreleased footage, and what could possibly threaten them. Second, you analyze that risk. You ask, how likely is this to happen? And how bad would it be if it did? And third, you decide what you're going to do about it. That's it. It's that simple. And when you're deciding what to do, you've got 4 main options in your toolkit. You can mitigate the risk. That's like using encrypted hard drives on a film set. You can transfer it. Think buying cybersecurity insurance. You could avoid it altogether by just saying no to a project that feels way too risky. Or you can simply accept it, like the tiny risk of a typo in an internal memo. No big deal. All right, let's get super practical now. Because security is not a one-size-fits-all deal. What a freelancer needs is totally different from what a growing agency requires. So let's actually build out a roadmap. The best way to think about this is like a journey in 3 phases. It's like leveling up. You start with the absolute essentials when you're a solopreneur, then you move to the foundational steps for a small agency, and finally, you scale all the way up to a compliance-ready model for a growing team. Let's see how this all builds on itself. Okay, if you're a freelancer, listen up. This is your starter kit. If you get these 4 things right, I promise you, you will be more secure than 90% of your peers. First, use a password manager. Second, turn on 2-factor authentication. That little code you get on your phone? Turn that on, everywhere. Third, encrypt your hard drive. And finally, use a VPN, especially on public Wi-Fi. This is your foundation. The second you hire your first employee, the game totally changes. It's not just about you anymore. You have to centralize. That means getting a team password manager and picking a standard, secure cloud platform for everyone to use. You also need to start writing down the rules in some simple policies. And this one is critical. Create checklists for when people join and when they leave, so you're never leaving access open by accident. As your agency gets bigger, security has to become a real, formal part of the business. You need to assign someone to actually own it. You'll do a formal risk assessment, you'll invest in more advanced tools to manage all the company laptops and phones, and you'll run structured security training for everyone. This is the path that gets you ready to go for that ISO 2701 certification and start winning those huge enterprise-level clients. So after all of that, what's the real takeaway here? It's a huge shift in perspective. Security is not a cost. It's not a chore. It's a business enabler. It's an advantage. Think about it. When you take security seriously, you build this incredible trust that helps you win bigger and better projects. You immediately stand out from your competition. Your own internal processes get way smoother. And maybe most importantly, you create a safe, stable environment where your team can do what they do best: innovate, experiment, and just create amazing, brilliant work. Let's end on this idea, because it just perfectly captures the spirit of this whole explainer. Security isn't the fence that cages your creativity. It's the strong foundation that you can build your most ambitious, wild, creative projects on with complete confidence. So the final question I'll leave you with is for you. What are the 1 or 2 steps you can take starting this week? How are you going to stop seeing security as a chore and start using it as your secret weapon, your true creative advantage?